Good morning, and welcome to Lake Country Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Fran Bills, and my pronouns are she, her. I am your worship leader this week. Welcome to this morning, this day, this opportunity to be together in community, which is a time of joy, comfort, and sometimes challenges. This Unitarian Universalist congregation is a place where we come to learn more about being human. We're not here because we've figured out life's questions or because we think we've got it right. We come here to learn more about being in relationship together, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, and how to create trust and compassion in one another.
We light our chalice as a symbol of gratitude as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another and offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic and gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is the sharing of this hallowed time together that actually sustains us. Welcome. Good morning, beloveds. That children's story that Carrie shared with us this morning had a bit of a heavier theme than usual. She invited us to accompany a couple of younger children through their eyes on a journey from being housed to being unhoused, and then thankfully, in this story, to being back to being housed again. Stories like this, I suppose, exist so that if we are currently lucky enough to be housed, we can simply go on a cathartic journey of just imagining, even for a moment, what that experience might be like. For most, but I know not all in this room, this is as close as we may ever personally come to the reality of finding ourselves unhoused. For others here, stable housing may have never been an issue, but the idea of maybe not having enough money to acquire the basic necessities of life each month is a more tangible risk. 1 in 7 Americans currently faces food insecurity in the richest country in the world. Imagine that. In some rural counties, as high as 50% of children do not have consistent access to the food that they need for healthy development. And more older adults are finding themselves dealing with these challenges in their golden years as social safety nets continue to become stretched more and more. But for many in this community, these are still just numbers. They sound bad, but it can be really difficult to imagine what housing or food insecurity looks like unless you intentionally get proximate to it. I know that many here have actively supported local programs like Family Promise for years. I know this community used to open the doors of this building to provide actual shelter and sanctuary for struggling families. And many still volunteer to provide food assistance directly to our neighbors. It's one thing to read about stories about these issues that we know exist in the world, but there is really no better way to actually understand the impact of a problem than to interact with real human beings that are experiencing those problems. Today's sermon description issued a challenge to consider our responsibilities given these realities that we all see in the world. This is a primary focus and challenge of being a follower of this faith tradition. Without an external mandate, without a threat of eternal damnation, we say that we choose to live our lives aligned around a set of values or principles. And these values, informed by history, freely and democratically determined by a collection of communities just like this one around the country and around the world, challenge us to look and understand real problems in this world, to determine the causes and potential solutions to these problems, and most importantly, to align the choices that we make to attempt to solve or minimize these problems. This is a faith of right actions, not just right beliefs. Our new value statements challenge us not to just state our beliefs about one thing or another, but also to make promises to ourselves and to each other about what we are going to attempt to do to expand these values into the wider world. And one of these newly stated values is generosity. The simple definition we've adopted to this concept, the easy thing to say that we align with, is we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. Okay, great. That sounds awesome. How do we do that? How do we make that ideal more tangible? Our new value statements also include our commitments. Under generosity, it goes on to say, we covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. Again, sounds great. So what does this stated value actually call us to do? And how do we do it? I'm going to focus today on the first part of this value, cultivating a spirit of gratitude and hope. As Unitarian Universalists, what is our responsibility around this concept? I must admit, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. You've heard me rail against the visible injustices created by unrestrained capitalism up here many times, I'm sure. But in talking with folks, I think my message is being a little bit misconstrued. I'm not necessarily completely 100% against capitalism, because it has certainly led to many societal benefits, let's face it. Many of us are alive today because of the financial incentive that exists. Unfortunately, this is the reason why many of these things happen. But there is a financial incentive to develop medical treatments that have kept us alive and kept us healthier longer than our ancestors. Many of us came to church this morning in vehicles that are safer and better for the environment than the conveyances our ancestors might have used to get around. And much of this type of innovation has been driven by capitalism. Capitalism is a very, very efficient system, and it is unfortunately aligned with many of the natural proclivities of humans. But there are two problems with capitalism that this faith challenges us to address. The first is a never-ending drive for growth. This is not aligned with how nature works. So this is a topic that we're going to take up another day. But the second aspect of capitalism is that the game of capitalism is based upon competition, which by default is designed to create winners and losers. And today's winners can very easily become tomorrow's losers. I've told a story up here before about work that I did at a Kodak film factory in upstate New York many, many years ago. For those of you of a certain age, you may remember that Kodak used to be the world's leading technology for capturing images. Folks working at the Kodak plant that made film for millions of cameras around the world had a pretty good life. They had steady jobs, they made a good wage, life was good. And even though anyone paying any attention to the news during that time could have seen this coming, the folks I met after the message was delivered that Kodak was getting out of the film business and that this plant was being closed and that their jobs were being eliminated were completely blindsided. Put yourself in those folks' shoes. Can you imagine the existential angst that these folks experienced? Imagine if someone had asked one of these folks, "Who are you?" And on any given Tuesday, you might say, "Well, I'm a parent. I'm a manager at the Kodak plant, and I'm a good provider for my family." And then the next day, you are still a parent. But all of a sudden, you have less of an idea of who you actually are, and really how else you're going to continue to be a provider. This reality happens constantly in capitalism. A product or technology that is the bee's knees one day is approved upon and made obsolete by a competitor or a new technology. And all of a sudden, what is at one level just an obsolete product, at another level has suddenly created a person with an obsolete set of skills. These days, most of us that are still in the working world are aware of this potential. So we do what any rational human being would do. We exhibit all the behaviors associated with an invaluable employee. We work long hours, and in our spare time, we ensure that we are investing in learning opportunities to ensure that our skills remain cutting edge, which then leaves little time or energy left for much else. Capitalism demands hustle. And sometimes, though, no amount of hustle is enough. The markets change, as do our fortunes. And it is very easy, by running faster and faster on this hamster wheel, to begin to give up hope even before the inevitable hammer drops on our temporary successes. So, what does our faith suggest is an antidote for this reality? I would say one of the primary mechanisms we suggest is the cultivation of a spirit of gratitude and hope. Wait, Reverend Matt, that's it? That's all you've got? That's our big defense against the relentless destruction of the machine? Yeah, that's it. But it is far more powerful than you might think. Cultivating our spirits. It is the breadth and depth and strength of our spirits that is the only available antidote for the cold logic of market efficiency. It is very easy, I recognize, it is very easy to become defeated or overwhelmed by the endless rush demanded by capitalism. It takes consistent intention and practice to balance out the harsh realities of this world which we have created. Capitalism is going to keep doing what it's designed to do. That's what it's supposed to do. And it does it well. But it does it without any conscience. It is on us as participants in the system to ensure that it is balanced out by other, more human priorities. And the spiritual practice that forms the foundation of this balance is gratitude. Show of hands, how many folks in this room engage in some sort of consistent, at the very least daily, gratitude practice? Okay. I'll say 50%. That's pretty good. That makes sense. This is a UU church. We practice these things, right? We need to get that up to 100%, myself included. I am working on this myself. Practicing gratitude intentionally is one of the oldest spiritual practices there is, and it is that way for a reason. We humans are meaning-making machines, and the meanings we create for ourselves honestly do create a good bit of our reality. If we believe resources to be scarce, they will be more scarce than they actually may be. If we believe our resources to be abundant, then we will often find that they are actually more abundant than we first assumed. A gratitude practice is designed to serve as the antidote to the scarcity mentality created by the game of capitalism. For all the things that we see wrong or lacking with the way things currently are, we need to intentionally balance that story with all that we do have. Would you all be willing to join me in just a moment of intentional gratitude? Begin to think about what are all of the things that you might be grateful for in this very moment, no matter what all the bad things are happening in the world, no matter the challenges you're facing, the health issues, the financial issues. Let us just think for a moment what things we can actually be grateful for. I am grateful for this day. I am very grateful for being a part of this community. I am grateful for the fact that my body currently allows me to stand up here and give voice to an idea. I am grateful for my hands. I'm grateful for the love of my wife. I'm grateful for my daughter. I'm grateful that I have a warm home. And I am grateful that I have access to food. I could literally continue up here with this on that list for hours. But what about you? What are you thankful for? If you are willing and comfortable, I'm going to invite you to take a moment to think about all the good things in your life right now. The everyday things, the relationships, the memories. And I'm going to invite you to speak out loud what those things are. As you are thinking of something you are grateful for, just say it out loud right now. I'm hoping that what will happen here in the next minute is that we will create a joyful noise together. What are you happy about? Just say it out loud. What are you grateful for? Electricity. Friends. Speak them out. This church. Don't be shy. Be grateful. I want to hear grateful noises. Yep. Yes. Lakes and rivers. Is that it? Is that all you're grateful for? Come on. I want gratitude. I want to be uplifted by gratitude here. This church. All my grandchildren. Yes. I tell you what, if you were standing up here, you'd have about 100 or so things that you could say that you were grateful for, and every one of them would be true. Thank you. How do you feel now? Do you feel a little lighter? Maybe a little bit energized? Calmed? Relieved? Grateful? Here's the thing. That is the antidote. The intentional cultivation of a spirit of generosity is grounded in the practice of gratitude. Capitalism is based on a practice of scarcity. You are lacking, but that lacking can be filled for only $9.99 plus shipping and handling. It will make all of your dreams come true. Well, until tomorrow, then you're going to need something else. We have so much. Most all of us have basically good health, or at least health care, and enough wealth to at least meet our basic needs, and a cadre of healthy relationships all around us. But it is really easy to forget that we have all that with the constant barrage of reminders of what we don't have or what we wish was different. How much we actually have matters far less than how much we think we have. And how much we think we have is significantly impacted by what we think about what we actually have. It is even possible to be thankful for those things that we wish were different. I'm actually thankful for the pain in my knees and my back. They are constant reminders to attend to my health and to the impermanence of life. These reminders actually help me moment to moment make better decisions. I'm grateful for the challenging personalities I get to meet. They help me become more empathetic. They help me to develop new skills. I'm grateful for cold, rainy days. They help me to appreciate the sunny days even more. And here's where the magic happens. Imagine for a moment if you were the person in my earlier story that went to work one day and learned that your job was eliminated. For many, that could rightly feel like the end of the world. That question, who are you? Whose answer used to include a bit about what you used to do has been turned upside down. What we do or used to do for a living is such a central component of our identity today that when it goes away or when it becomes unstable, it can shake our very understanding of who we are. And if we have not cultivated a gratitude practice, it can be very easy when we lose this type of foundation to completely lose sight of who we actually are. Gratitude practice grounds us within the larger world. We remind ourselves that the sun that warmed us yesterday will be available again tomorrow to warm us and to light our way. It reminds us of all the resources that we do have available. It reminds us of the supportive relationships we do have in our lives. It reminds us of our actual abundance. Our responsibility as Unitarian Universalists is not necessarily to be the biggest donor at the food bank. Although, if it's possible, that's not a bad idea. Go for it. Our actual responsibility, though, is to be intentional with our focus and to recognize that for as many bad things as the world seems intent on reminding us exist, there are just as many, in fact, there are more good things. And it is from this place and only this place that generosity, the type of generosity that can actually help save the world, can hope to emerge. It doesn't actually matter how much you have. No amount will ever be enough if we can't appreciate what we actually have. Truth be told, many of the most generous people I have ever met have been nowhere near the wealthiest. And on the contrary, it is often those with the least that I find to be most generous. I'm about to turn this over to our guest, the Executive Director of Family Promise. And I have to assume he will be telling you at least a bit about the current unmet needs that he and is trying to fulfill in this community. As you listen to what Joe has to say, I invite you to reflect upon all the things that you just thought about being grateful for. And then, when the baskets make their way around, think about how much abundance you actually have and try to be as generous as you possibly can. Or better yet, go online and make an even larger donation. Challenge yourself to give so much that you actually feel it. What part of feeding the rest of the world is your responsibility? I can't know that for sure. Only you can know how much you have and how much you can share. What we are trying to do here with the practice of gratitude is to keep alive the possibility of miracles. That Christian story about the loaves and the fishes to me is less about bread and fish magically appearing in baskets. It is actually about realizing that we already always have more than we need if only we could open our eyes and see. An intentional, ongoing, daily, minute-by-minute practice of gratitude is the key to being able to potentially see the miracles that do exist all around us. I am grateful for you. I am grateful for this community. And we collectively have more than enough to take care of ourselves and others. I know this to be true. Let us commit to continually remembering this truth and acting accordingly. Blessed be, and may it be so. This flame is extinguished, but our gratitude continues in action. May your appreciation for life's gifts translate into work that extends those same blessings to others. Oh my goodness, I am so grateful for our musicians. I am so grateful for our guests. I am so grateful for everyone in this room. And I am grateful for this month, which, remember, there's a holiday at the end of this month, which we're supposed to remember our gratitudes, right? If you didn't raise your hand saying that you have a daily gratitude practice, this is the month to get into that habit, right? Whatever it is, wake up in the morning and say, okay, I'm going to be grateful for one thing today. Before you go to bed, what is something I was grateful for today? Before you eat a meal, give gratitude for the meal. Something that reminds you every single day that you can do consistently to remind you of how many blessings you have, no matter how hard life is getting in this moment. We are blessed to be here. Have a wonderful week. Go in faith, go in love, and enjoy your blessings.